Hello, good morning. My name is Danielle Martini. Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me today. I really appreciate your partnership in supporting Collins, and I'm excited to talk to you about your child. I want to start off by saying something really positive about him. Collins is such a thoughtful and hardworking student. Even when the vocabulary or the reading works feels challenging, he keeps on trying and he's really engaged, which is something I truly value about him as a learner. Today, I'm going to walk you through what we're seeing in his progress, what it means in everyday terms, and then talk a little bit about how we can best support him moving forward at home and at school. Over the past 9 weeks, we've been checking Collins' vocabulary progress each week so we can understand how he's growing. He started with a score of a 30. In the first week, he stayed at a 30, and then in weeks 3 and 5, his score dipped down to a 25. He came back up to a 30 in week 7, but then dropped down again to a 25 in week 9. What this tells us about Collins is that he's learning some of the vocabulary, but he's having a hard time keeping it over time and using it consistently. He also has a Lexile score of about a 180, which is around the first grade reading level. That just tells us that he's building some very important fundamental reading and language skills, which definitely connects to how tricky vocabulary can feel for him right now. So overall, we're seeing effort and moments of success, but not yet a steady growth. To understand what Collins really needs, I've been working closely with his classroom teacher, reading specialists, paraprofessionals, and our intervention team. We meet and we look closely together at the data. Things like his weekly vocabulary scores, how he's doing during his lessons, and what we're noticing in the classroom. Each person brings something really important. His teacher shares with us how he uses words during reading. The reading specialists look closely at how he responds during small group instruction, and the paraprofessionals help us to see how he does with practice and repetition. We also talk as a team about what might be making the vocabulary so hard for him to retain. We're not diagnosing anything, but we are paying attention very closely to patterns that we sometimes see in students who struggle with language processing or early reading skills, including things that can be seen with students at risk for dyslexia. All of this just helps us make sure that we're being really thoughtful about how we support him. So after looking at everything all together, we all agree that Collins needs a different approach moving forward. Right now, he needs more structure, more repetition, and more support in really understanding and holding on to the word meanings. So as a team, we set a goal together and planned an updated intervention that everyone will support consistently. His classroom teacher will continue reinforcing the vocabulary during the daily lessons. The reading specialist will work with him in smaller groups using more structured strategies. Paraprofessionals will support him during practice time so he gets more practice for repetition. And I'll be tracking his progress closely so we can adjust anything if necessary. The big idea here is that he is hearing and using the same vocabulary strategies in every single setting, which will really help his learning stick. So based on what we're seeing, we're going to shift things a little bit in his intervention to something more structured and explicit. This new approach is based on what we already know from reading research and structured literacy practices, which show that students, just like Collins, learn best when vocabulary is taught in a very clear, step-by-step way with lots of practice and meaning-based connections. So in his intervention, we'll use Freyer models to help him really understand each and every single word, systematic maps so he can connect all his ideas together, lots of talking and using the words in full sentences, visuals to support all of the meaning, and regular review so that he can keep practicing words over time. Our goal for Collins is for him to grow his vocabulary score from a 30 to a 38 over the next 6 weeks, based on weekly progress checks. What we really want is not for learning words in the moment, but for him to actually keep them and to be able to use them. There are 2 simple but very, very powerful ways that you can support him at home. First, just talking with him about new words in everyday life helps a lot. If he learns a new word at school, you can ask him to use it in a sentence or explain exactly what it means. That kind of conversation really helps the words stick. Second, using technology can make it fun for him. Apps like Epic or Quizlet for Kids can help give him extra practice in a more interactive way. Another idea is simple digital vocabulary journal where he records himself saying a word, using it, and even explaining it. This helps him hear it, see it, and even say it, all which support memory. A couple of community supports that can be really helpful are local public libraries and school literacy programs. The library is so great because it gives Collins access to a lot of books at his level, and also storytime programs where he can hear rich vocabulary in context. School or district literacy nights can also be really helpful because they often show families simple strategies for practicing reading and vocabulary at home in ways that match exactly what we're doing in the classroom. We want Collins to feel proud of his progress along the way in this journey. At school, we'll celebrate when we see him using new vocabulary correctly or improving on his weekly checks. We'll also use simple visual charts so that he can actually see his growth, which can be extremely motivating for him. At home, you can celebrate him too, like when he uses new vocabulary in conversation or even when he explains what it means. Even small celebrations, like giving him praise or a high five, or even letting him teach you words that he learned that week. What matters most is that he feels like his efforts are paying off. We'll be checking his progress every week through quick vocabulary assessments. Every 2 weeks, I'll send you a short update so that you can see how he's doing and what the data is really showing. We'll also meet every 6 weeks to look over his overall progress and decide if anything needs to be adjusted. And of course, if we notice anything big, a big change before then, I'll reach out right away so that we can always stay connected. Thank you again for your support. Collins is such a great student, and with this constant support from all of us, I'm confident that we're going to be able to see him grow and gain a lot more confidence as a reader. Thank you.